Welcome to Comedy Centric, your place for all things comedy. Every week, we'll discuss the legends and the people who built the business, the performers, writers, behind the scenes, and stories that you have never heard. So relax, take a load off, and join us for this episode of Comedy Centric. Now, the host of your show, nationally headlining comedian, a woman with a wicked sense of humor and a killer Jersey accent, Julia Scotti.
Hey, hi. I got to tell you, we're taping the show a day later than we normally tape it because last night we were 5 minutes away from taping it and my internet went out. And I naturally called my internet company and I got a very friendly guy named Joey from India. I don't know if that's his real name. He couldn't really help me, but eventually it just magically came on by itself. So we're here tonight. Thank you. You don't care about any of this, but Kath, and then we were just going to start, and Kathy got an emergency phone call.
I did. I'm so sorry.
You should be.
Hey, did I
What?
tell you what happened the other night?
What?
I was laying in my bed. Well, I was sleeping, 10:30 at night, and I was sound asleep, and I hear this,
Oh,
and I'm like, it's a dream. I don't, And then a few minutes later, I hear, I'm like, uh-oh, that seems like somebody that wants to get a hold of me. So I look through my little peephole, and don't ever do this.
I don't have a people.
Okay, but I look through my little peephole, and there are 3 large figures in dark clothing. Now, I don't know why I think it's a good idea to answer the door, but I do. And I open the door, and it's the local police. It's 3 of them. And the one guy goes, "That's not who we're looking for." And I went, "Thank God."
Well, you should be.
I know. And so they're like, "Hey, do you know so-and-so?" I'm like, "Well, kind of." And, but it's scary. You never want 3 police officers knocking on your door at 10:30 at night. And I go, "I'm sorry." I'm like rubbing the sleep out of my eyes. I'm like, "I'm sorry, I was sleeping." And the one cop goes, "Oh yeah, I guess it is 10:30 at night." I'm like, "What are you
They
doing
don't
that you
care.
don't know what time it is?"
Crime never sleeps.
Not in this
No.
filthy city I live in.
What would they want?
They're looking for somebody.
Oh, but not you.
Not me, thank God.
Thank God. That's right, because you wouldn't be here tonight.
Somebody that apparently lived here at this address before.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
They didn't say that person.
He was there. Yeah, I know, but he
You
probably
think he
lived
was?
there. I think so. He might have
He
been.
was squatting.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm so excited. I want to get right to our guest.
Yeah.
Guest tonight. I'm so excited to have this person with us tonight because I love her as a human being, and I'm so proud of her and happy for her. And you'll find out why in the near future. But she, if the name Carrie Snow rings a bell to you, it should, because she's done everything in comedy. And I met her, I guess it had to be 7 years ago, maybe. I was out, at the Throckmorton Theater in Mill Valley,
California.
one of my favorite theaters. Yeah, and she and I were on the bill together, and just I fell in love with her, and we hit it off just nicely. Thank you. So I'm gonna, without further ado, bring on Miss Carrie Snow. Come on, Carrie.
Yay! And Doobie's here too.
And Doobie. Hi, Doobie.
Look at her awesome backdrop.
I know. It really. I feel like we're.
It's just our hallway, I just slapped a chair in a hallway, and
little humble.
That say they just did. I just slapped the chair, and
right.
And
Terry did.
Oh, okay. Terry is your
my husband / production assistant.
Well, I read your article, by the way. Terry is her husband, but yesterday, was it yesterday we were speaking?
Sunday.
The thing you wrote for the LA Times about how you met him. So we might as well. That's a good enough place to start. How did you meet Terry?
It's actually also on the other hallway. The article's framed on the other hallway.
Well, I have it here, so I'm going to pull it up.
Good.
I'll hold it up to the camera.
Do you want to know who the unknown comic who was rolling a joint while we drove?
Yes.
Yes.
Bomb. Bruce Baum, and he's
Bruce
very
Baby
good.
Bomb? Is that he?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
Baby Man.
Well, now
And-
that here it is. It's called what is it? A Funny Thing Happened from the Los Angeles Times, and May 18th, 2013. You wrote this, so, but I was able to find it. All
And
right,
we
so go
just
ahead.
gotten married when I wrote the article.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, because it took, even though we met in 2003, it took Terry a long time to pull the trigger, as it were. And so we lived together for 8 or 9 years before.
Don't you think that's a good idea?
Yeah. And, one time he was on the couch and he didn't feel good. And he had a disappointment. And I got on top of him and said, "You're not going to get out of it this easy. You got to be, So he knew.
What, get out of marrying you or get out of his disappointment?
Or just anything. He's not
Oh.
going to get out of it without me. So I knew that for way before we got married. I knew I was going to be together with him forever.
That's cool.
Yeah, sometimes you just know.
I'd never before, I was 50 when I met him.
But isn't that wonderful? I mean, another comic we know, she married her longtime boyfriend only a few years ago, but she's been with him for 20 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's the better way, don't you?
If we could have people live their lives and then stay with their significant others, it would be great.
So it's been 10, it's going to be 12 years now that you're married?
10 years is our anniversary this fall.
Okay.
And
Julie's trying to figure out how old you are.
I know how old she is.
I'm 69.
Yeah, she's a year younger than I am.
Saying it is horrifying.
I know. Why do you have to get 70 out of your mouth?
Oh, no.
I found it's better to
I have a system. When I was turning 50, I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't say it. And so what I did, I said, I'm selectively dyslexic. So I'm 5. And the next year I was 15, 25, 35, idea. 45. And then at 55, I got 10% off at Ross. And so that carried me through to 60. And then you're 16. And then you're 26. And I did it right this time.
Well, you look great.
Makeup, lighting, all that.
You still look great. Go ahead, Kath.
I was going to say, but she's only, 26?
Exactly. Well, 96 if you use my selective dyslexia right now. This is not a good time, but I'm going to be 7,
Oh, soon. When will you be 7?
Next year.
Okay.
I'm just emotionally preparing myself.
No, nothing you can do could prepare you for it. Nothing. There's nothing.
It's hard enough when I have to say my age. It never sounded old until you have to say it out loud to everybody.
I do it on stage.
How old do you feel?
Yeah.
Well, until I had my stroke, and we'll get to that, I thought I was 45.
Okay.
And I lived my life as a 45-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Being bad.
Right. Eating all the wrong things.
I was over that when I was 42. See, I had gastric bypass when I was 42.
Okay.
And it was the first time I ever got to eat like normal people.
Wow.
Eat a little something later. Right. No guilt, no shame. But I was on a diet for 35 years before I was 42. Yeah, do the math.
I'm still on one.
It's not worth it. I wasted so much time.
Carrie, and I don't mean to be intrusive, but were you on a diet for health reasons or just trying to be fit into society's norm?
When I went to college, I weighed about what I weigh now. My mother had me convinced that I was the largest living mammal. And I wasn't ever going to get married. And nobody was going to like me. And so I started doing comedy and everybody liked me, no matter what I weighed.
That's one of the things I want to talk about. That's a good entrance into your comedy life. You we came up around the same time. You came up a couple of years earlier.
I
than
started
did.
out in February 21st of 1978.
Right. I said, isn't it amazing how we all remember that, our
Well, it
birthday
was,
in comedy?
I didn't mean to do it. At the beginning of February of that year, I had a manager.
Uh-huh.
After he rocketed me to stardom, now he was fixing shoes. But Tuesdays was the night at the Holy City Zoo where you went on. The next week was Valentine's Day, and I had to go on the next week. And it happened to be my mother's birthday. And I was in Vegas. Do you remember Carl in the room in Vegas? At the Improv in Vegas?
I didn't work the improvs in Vegas.
It was
I
great.
didn't. I was an East Coaster, so I didn't get to.
But-
And you bring up an interesting point because there was something about the West Coast for people like me back then that was just magical, and I dreamed of going out there, and in particular in the San Francisco area, because the Holy City Zoo was this.
Never went to the bathroom there. That's how lousy the bathroom was.
It couldn't have been worse than the Improv in New York.
Well, Lenny Bruce used to call them toilets because of the vicinity of the toilet to where you waited to go on stage.
I told Kathy this. The Improv in New York had a giant cat named Tits. That was a Silver Friedman named it Tits. And the thing just roamed. It would just
like a real cat?
Yeah, a real giant cat. Yeah, it was a giant, big, fat cat. And, when we were curious about why it was so fat, and, we would just tell people, well, the hamburgers here are really well, that wasn't. It was,
the vermin.
Right.
Very tasty.
Right. But Tits would show up on stage sometimes. Yeah, it was.
I never met Silver till after, because in 78, 79, when I went to New York, to try to get a job and, blah, 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 I got the horrible case of food poisoning and stayed in bed for a day at my friend's apartment going.
You didn't have the burgers, I hope.
No, I didn't eat at the Improv. I had scheduled a showcase with Silver, and and you say you worked at the Comedy Store, you worked at the Improv in LA. I guess everybody does.
She, for those of you who don't know who Silver Saunders Friedman is her name, the former wife of Bud Friedman.
She got out.
I didn't know Bud, but I met Bud once.
Bud was great. He was.
I heard it was I don't want to talk about people's marriages, but that's for me. The Improv is. I have a nice place in my heart there.
Yeah.
But I never made it out to the West Coast, and you had this. It was a magical place, the Holy City Zoo, in my mind, because of the people that were
small. There. And in the beginning, I wasn't even cool enough to put my purse behind the bar. A friend who took me had to hold my purse.
Oh my God.
He was gay, so he was good with it.
Accessory.
And I would go back there. I took Bob Saget there.
For an audition?
No. When he was already famous. I mean, not famous, but comic famous.
Right.
In 1980, we were working in Sacramento, and it was an hour and a half to 2 hours drive there. And we got off stage, went to the Holy City Zoo, and made it in time to, for Bob to go on.
Wow.
And so he got to say he worked at the Holy City Zoo.
But he never became a regular there?
Well, you don't want to become a regular there unless you're just starting out. Unless
Why is that?
Well, because it was an open mic club.
I never knew that. I thought it was a legit club.
Oh, it was a legit club. And if he wanted to work there, he could. But nobody wants to work at the zoo.
See, I wanted to. I had the wrong goals altogether.
The bar took up more space than anything. It was about. I've lived in apartments that were bigger. Studio apartments were bigger than. It was a very tiny place, but it's lovely that it existed in your mind.
You're crushing her, Carrie. You're crushing her whole.
Just one more.
Even though I didn't go to the bathroom there, I read the graffiti in the men's room.
Oh,
in the ladies' room, we all went in
With a
where it
little
was
hole in the
safe.
wall.
Oh my God. But the
Well-
best thing I read was Bobby Slayton is hung like a baby.
Which explains his attitude on stage. Wow. That's wow. Well, that's breaking news. That's the first time we've ever broken a story like that on Comedy
That's,
Centric.
I don't know if I've ever told anybody that, but that was, that's the zoo in a nutshell.
Okay. I have nothing to say to that.
what are you doing
ever-
now, Carrie?
If I ever see Bobby Slayton, I'm gonna go, well, is it true? Like he's Milton, he's the anti-Milton Berle, I guess.
Don't mention it.
I will not. Well, it's public domain now. Well, let's move ahead.
Okay.
So in 1982, you came in 5th at the the San Francisco Comedy.
I did it every summer. I would go back, I'd moved to LA in 1980 or 81. I don't know. But I had worked at the all male strip show for women for a year to save money. Here's the American Gigolo,
Yeah.
And I used to get to pick the woman who got to put baby oil on the bodybuilder. That was my life
You
at
got
the
to
time.
pick that person.
And women used to offer me money to go.
I was going to say, were you
downstairs.
ever bribed?
Oh, they tried to, but I was making $50 a night. I thought I was rich.
But you had ethics. You did. Yeah, remember that $50 a night gigs? But so you go up against people like Jim Samuels, Kevin Pollak, Will Durst. And you placed.
I was in the finals, but
you came in 5th, right?
a radio guy torpedoed me every single time. It's nice that we're bringing up all this stuff to.
I'm sorry.
It give me agita, but
well, we have 6 viewers, so I want the 6 that we have to know.
You have more than 6. You've got a bigger family than that, Julia.
Yeah, but they don't talk to me. And that's counting my ex-wives. So they want.
You were married more than me.
I was married 2.5 times.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. The last time didn't count because it was annulled, but it's a half time.
It counts if you stood there and said, "I'm going to love you forever."
It's an asterisk, like Roger Maris. I mean, but did that, winning? I mean, that was that.
I didn't win. I came in 5th out of 5.
But even coming in 5th,
even finishing, Carrie,
but it was 40
was
people. Where they had the original was 40 people, down to 20 people, then down to 5 people.
And that was the competition before everybody and his mother had a competition.
Oh,
San Francisco was it.
I was so spoiled from the audiences in San Francisco that treated me like a goddess, as it were.
Were there other women on that competition? I mean, did any of the others place in the top 5?
No, and they engendered a competition between you and other women too.
Well, that's what's nothing new about that,
And so there were no other women in the finals. I think Marsha Warfield had won in one of the years.
Oh, wow.
I think because I met her in the first couple, and she's so funny. We got together
incredibly funny.
in Vegas when she was just starting to get back into stand-up, and we would get together after the shows. And one of them was around 2016, and I was asking her some Bill Cosby questions, and she said to me, "Can you keep a secret?" And I said, "No." And so she laughed. But then the next night she told me the secret, which wasn't a big secret anyway.
Well, what was it?
That her agents had told her never to take a drink from Mr. Cosby.
Oh, really? Wow.
Her agents told her when she came out from Chicago. So people knew.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
he was talking about what did he call it?
Spanish Fly.
Yeah. What was he calling it?
He did it on an album, didn't he? Talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I always remember when I drove a stick shift because that's what he talked about. The girl.
Right.
Oof.
That was the legend. Oh, enough about him.
But I know that because of my weight, and I would lose 100 pounds and then gain, buy new clothes, gain it back, lose 100 pounds. I did that.
Gosh.
5-6 times in my adult life, and so I know that I was saved from a lot of the Me Too stuff, but there's a couple of things that happened that were distasteful.
Mm.
Well, we don't have to go into it. Go ahead,
No.
Kathy.
So, Carrie, you you were talking about you had so you went through your comedy career and you had a physical setback. You had a stroke.
Oh yeah, 4.5 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
Just before and after we had only met. This is only the second time you and I have met.
Yeah, but
It-
I had my 40th anniversary of doing stand up February 21st or was it actually the 20th, I think, on of 2018, and then May 18th I had a major stroke.
Oh my gosh.
I was at rehab, and everybody asks you, it's stroke rehab.
Yeah.
And everybody asks everybody. Somebody said, "What kind of a stroke did you have?" And I said, "A really bad one." She didn't laugh.
Well,
But-
I don't want to hold off on that for a minute because I want to sort of work up to that because there's so much about you that people need to know that they may not know.
I wrote for Roseanne. You knew that.
Like she's jumping ahead.
Well,
we'll
I
get
had
to
a
that.
talk show
Okay,
that
all
didn't
right,
get
let it
picked
go.
up. That was
You had a
supposed to
talk
be
show?
like The View with Christina Ferrari.
Yeah. Right.
And then they moved it to New York. She wouldn't move to New York, so we were
Wow.
let go. But I got a month of being on a talk show and having everybody at the Improv stand up and in the bar, which is the place to be, stand up and clap for me when they because at 11 o'clock on Channel 11 every day we did the talk show. The pilot lasted a month. Excuse me. And it was a great time. And somebody said, "Well, you do this long enough to get sick of it." But I was sick of getting my makeup put on every day and mascara. But they were so great. It was going to be so much fun. But things happen,
Why couldn't they do it in LA?
because they wanted to do it in New York.
Yeah. All right.
To make it more timely. Excuse me. Like
So
The View.
you have this career. You go from writer from comic to writer to script supervisor. Is that what you were doing on Roseanne too? You were doing?
Yeah, I was an
Let's
executive
spend a little
story
time
editor.
with years. Okay. How did that happen?
Roseanne had broken up with Tom and decided to get some of her friends. And she goes, a friend said, "Do you know where Carrie Snow is?" And he said, "Her car's in my driveway," because I was on the road.
Uh-huh.
And he took care of my car. And I got hired in summer of '94 to write for her for special projects and stuff. And when they canceled this project, one of them, we were doing a Hanukkah special. And one of the producers said, "So what are you doing now?" I said, "Trying to act busy." But then I got hired as a writer that December.
For the show?
For the Roseanne show, yeah.
Okay, so what season was that? So if it was Tom was involved, it must have been.
No, Tom was done.
Well, I mean, he was gone, so he'd
So it
already
was
come and
7,
gone.
8, and 9 that I worked on.
Wow,
So I was
okay.
there as people would stand in the halls going, "Well, it's dropping faster than before," or not faster, slower than before. Pardon me. But
The
we
ratings,
went
you
from
mean?
having a candy room, a room that was dedicated to treats, to that room being a storage room and having to beg one of the producers for a chocolate bar. Oh, they let you know when the show.
This is not the first time I've heard that story, not about Roseanne's show, but about shows that are going off eventually.
I mean, when it was
the
still
candy room, the snacks go first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I would take people when people visited me on the show, say, "Look at this," because it's every treat you've ever wanted, and you're not in a Costco.
Wow.
Everything you can touch, everything.
Well, all right. So the show goes away, and you.
That a year I did some special project. I did a bar mitzvah video for I forget, Jason Davis. And his mother is Nancy Davis. She's a big mucky muck with the MS Society, all this stuff. And I did a video that they showed at his bar mitzvah. His bar mitzvah was at the huge mansion of his grandparents. And they had casino night and this and that. And Paul Provenza came up to me, he goes, they're free pouring Dom. And also, and a guy, he goes, there's a letter there from Benjamin Franklin, in the office. And I said, what does he want? But it was crazy, giving you little, I don't think Wolfgang was actually there, but Wolfgang Puck did the appetizers and it was crazy.
Holy shit. See, that's the difference between East Coast comic and West Coast comic. East Coast comic is, I'm at this VFW tonight and they're giving out all the shrimp we can eat. It's great.
The comics, you go from one end to the other.
Yeah.
Nothing. Come on, the male strip show was my peak as far as I'm concerned.
Well, who was Carol Montgomery did that too in Vegas.
In Vegas, she did it in Vegas when they started doing the guys with tuxedos and stuff. The only guys that wore tuxedos were the waiters. With the bow tie and everything.
Right.
And one time my father was dropping me off. I'd already parked my car. He was in town on business. We went out to dinner early so I could get to work. And bless his heart. He goes, which one is it, honey? I said, it's the club that says Exotic Live Acts, Daddy. But he asked me sweetly not to date the strippers. But I did kiss one of the topless waiters who turned out to be gay. Huh.
Yeah, what a surprise.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often. So you and I share something in common in that we both a brain. No. We both stepped away from comedy for 10 years. Yours, but I don't know. I know why I went out of it, but
I was too tired to do stand-up when we worked for Roseanne.
Mm-hmm.
And the most I'd gone was like 10 days when I'd had surgery. And it was quite a shock to my system when I had my stroke, what to do on a Saturday night.
Yeah. I
remember asking Diane Nichols in the 80s what normal girls did on a Saturday night. She goes, you're going to have to call somebody else. It was such a luxury to have a night off, but not a luxury.
Well, we experienced that again with COVID, and all of us were like, what do? I don't know. It's Saturday night. I need to do something.
And at the time, I was just getting ready to come back outside. I'd gone from a wheelchair to a walker, which I don't have anymore. Thank you. Yay. And yay. And then I had to really figure out what time it was about. I used to work 3-4 nights a week at home, just in LA because I could.
Yeah.
Well, let me. All right. Since we brought up the subject of the stroke, a few years back, I had open heart surgery, and it took me out of commission for a while.
I remember.
One of the I do too. One of the things I feared the most was never going back to work. That it was over, and the frightening part about being able to still think funny and still write in your head, but knowing that there would never ever be a place to do it on stage again. I can't even imagine for you what that was like. You couldn't talk, right? You couldn't even talk.
No. I could talk.
Oh, you could.
The first day, I don't know if I can say this, but I was in the hospital in the emergency room, and all I could say was unfucking believable.
Yes, you could say that. So.
Wow.
That's all I could say.
Wow.
And
you knew you were saying it.
I knew I was saying it. And the doctor asked my friend that I've known since before freshman year in high school. She goes, how long have you known each other? And Ann goes, I don't know, 40 years. And I said, 50. And that's when they knew I was still there.
Good.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
She was lying about those 10 years, trying to make the doctor think she was younger.
Did they admit her?
No. And I always knew I was there, but I graduated from speech therapy at the hospital in a couple of weeks. The woman said, just read out loud. I read to my husband. We're almost finished with Obama's book. It's taken forever because we've taken time off. But now, as well versed as I am speaking to you now, reading, I was the queen of the cold readers. And that is difficult. So you never know what part of your brain gets, messed up.
Well, they're giving shit to this guy Fetterman, who's running for senator in Pennsylvania now because he's recovering from a stroke too,
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying that it's somehow because he can't articulate. I think exactly what the problem is. He might be.
His
He needs a
auditory.
teleprompter.
Yeah.
He needs a
Yeah.
teleprompter. And, I follow Noel Kassler on,
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
who's brilliant.
Yep.
And he says that they're trying to make him impaired.
Yeah.
And he bets that what's his name, Oz, uses a teleprompter all the time and did on a show. That's what people do.
Right.
Well, it amazes me that somebody, even Oz is a doctor, for Christ's sake, that he would stoop that low.
He was a horrible doctor.
Well,
And
nevertheless,
I used to
he was a doctor.
Oprah gave us Dr. Phil, and the way he talks to fat women, I hate him still, and I don't even have to see him.
She owes us an apology.
Ugh.
And Oz, I mean,
he doesn't live in Philadelphia.
He doesn't live in Pennsylvania, and legally he's had his own things with the FDA and
and another government. Doesn't he vote somewhere
Turkish.
else?
He's a Turkish citizen.
Turkish delight. Good candy.
Let me ask you a
Love that
question.
song.
We're going to bounce back and forth, but in Yale Cohen's book, We Killed the Rise of Women in American Comedy, you said that we really thought when Roseanne was on The Tonight Show, it was going to open it up for women comics. And I could see why, because I remember that set, and it was epic. And did it in your mind not open it up for women comics? I wasn't there yet, so I was.
If I had a dime for every time when I was I remember in the improv waiting there to go on, you just wait in the crowd, and somebody would say Roseanne. And I thought losing weight would help me. No, there's barriers in there that were before us. And Roseanne told me once that she thought because she was married, that she was safer.
Married before or before Tom?
No, but just married when she was married. It doesn't matter to who. The driver, this, that, it doesn't matter. But she said that I was safer. She was.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was married, as though there was a man that could control her. I don't think that man has been born, but,
Do you think that's changed? I mean, I know one of the things we talked about Carol Montgomery, her specials are trying to, bring women, and I was fortunate enough to be one of them. I think as an outsider, and I still feel like an outsider, but I think it's a little bit better for younger women now, not so much our age women.
Now, who is the gal that had quarter life crisis, and she's done a couple of Netflix specials? And she's really cute, and she's just a mess. And I had the same, when I was coming up, you had to see your flaws.
Mm-hmm.
You had to actually see them. You had to look weird. You have to be fat or too thin or something. It had to be visible to the audience. Mm-hmm. And now here's this beautiful young girl, Taylor Tomlinson. Is that it?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's the name. I'm not familiar. I don't know her work very well. But yes, that's her name.
She is funny. She knows setup, punchline, act out. She does pretty standard good comedy,
Yeah.
But now and even what's the gal who did that's when I need IMDb for that. Whitney. And I said
Whitney Cummings?
yeah, and I thought, okay, what is it about Whitney And then I looked at her, and she looks like, not in a bad way, but she was young. She looked like very horse-like. And I thought,
Yes.
that's what she thinks is the problem.
Mm.
But they're able to get out there, and Chelsea Handler, it's just like a half a step away, but you can be attractive and still be a mess.
Right.
And I love that. I love that.
I think and again, I come from a whole different place than you do or Kathy does. For me, it's about age. And it's also about prejudice, toward trans folks, LGBT folks in general. So I work from that pain. That's my truth. You're in the process of working your way back, correct? Or that's where you're.
I've taken notes for writing and for stand-up, on my notes app on my phone. This is me typing on my phone. And because, I can walk and all this, I'm working on my hand and arm.
Yeah.
Because until I can visualize, I was, at the theater at the Throckmorton, going on stage and saying hello with both hands. I don't think I'm ready yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is I think you would waste yourself or waste your story in a stand-up set.
I'm not going to be regular stand-up, more of a TED Talk somewhere in between.
That's absolutely.
I couldn't take something being thrown at me.
Oh my God.
That happened right up the road from where I live. That club is at the
You
Jersey
can't drink
Shore.
a beer that fast?
I can't believe
she was
how
great.
fast.
She was
I
great.
can't believe how fast that thing went viral.
Well, it was a couple of days, and I saw it in the beginning, and I was trying to explain to Terry, this girl dodged a beer and then drank it.
Yeah.
She said she didn't even see it. And I think one of the shows is trying to get her on Fallon or Kimmel. I don't know which one. But
I mean, that's a career maker.
She's been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I love that. It takes about 10 years to season a comic, they say.
Yeah. Well, you can understand why she wouldn't see the beer. The lights are blinding you. And
it's a very small club, though, where
Mm-hmm.
she is. I mean,
with bullet holes in the sign.
Huh?
With bullet holes in the sign. Well, drawn on.
Drawn on. I see.
Yeah. Wow. It's just, I don't work there, but I mean, that's the kind of.
Because you value your life, obviously.
Oh, no, I've been in situations.
She can't chug a beer, honestly, Carrie. She can't chug a beer to save her life.
I've been in situations where my safety was in jeopardy before.
That was just on a date.
Who needs a heckler? I have Kathy with me. Okay, so
I forgot that I also in the range of 78 to 88. I hosted Comedy Tonight on PBS 2 seasons.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even ask for the job. It was offered to me. And I didn't know a lot of men were asking for the job. And this guy, that may he rest in relative peace, came up to me right before I was going on stage and said, "Are you going to wear that?" And I didn't know that was a guy thing, to give people shit as they were, going to go on stage. And I carried that around for years,
Yeah, that.
And so, 88 to 92, when I was going to do the talk show, and I thought I was going to get off the road. And then 2 years later, when I wanted to go back and it didn't exist anymore.
Right.
And so I'm doing the timeline in my head. Then.
Oh, no. Where'd she go?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Jimmy.
I was getting a call from
there
my
she
doctor.
is. Okay.
All
right. We lost you for a second.
What, Doobie? What?
We lost you. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I got.
You went blank for a minute. Okay.
I don't know how to not get a phone call when you're on your phone.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can block that, by the way. There's a. You go to your settings.
Yeah.
And you have a do not disturb.
Oh.
Feature on there. Yeah.
I just thought I was. Who calls me?
I do.
I know, but during this,
call you all the time now. We're actually.
Let's go back. So you were talking.
And then once I got through the lawsuit after Roseanne, and then my dad died.
Wait, what lawsuit?
I know, like, wait a minute.
Well, she
that's
had
really
me fired. I walked my car with security. It was considered a wrongful termination.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
I
not
didn't
in your
know
little
that.
paperwork, is it? lady?
No. Well, it says that you were fired, but didn't say why.
Walked my car with security because there was a bloodbath one day, and I went and I told the it was not the sitcom, it was her talk show.
Okay.
And it hadn't even gotten on the air yet. I was scheduled to go on the talk show. They were going to talk about gastric bypass and all this stuff. No, fired on a Friday.
Oh my gosh.
No
and
reason?
I said, the driver had come back into the fold, and he had people fired.
The driver?
Her husband, the limo driver. She was separated from him.
Oh, brother.
What a volatile situation. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, I used to cry about it in the beginning. And Taylor Negron whispered to me, "It's your retirement." And every first of the month, I say a little thank you to Taylor because I squeaked in to get retirement. Squeaked in. You have to have 5 years in the WGA.
Mike Dugan, Mike, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Dugan and he and Taylor, I guess, were pretty close friends, and
he lived in his house for a while.
Yeah,
Oh.
And there was an apartment below in Tayfair.
Yeah, and he gets teary-eyed when he talks about again, this is a person I would have loved to have known Taylor because I loved his work. I thought he was just
I knew his family, and he knew so many people. And when you were with him and he was drawing you, nobody else existed but that being funny.
That's what Mike said. Dugan says the same thing. Yeah.
He had a gift.
Yeah. I watched that. I guess it was a TED Talk. No, it was a Moth Talk that he did about the monkey.
Yes.
Oh my God. Kathy, you have to find this on YouTube. It's only about 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's doable. You don't have to commit a lot of time.
But he wanted a pet monkey as a kid, and it's just,
oh my God.
And it's just
Rustifer.
And he had a name for it.
Yes, and the two people I met when I first came to the Comedy Store, Steve Moore and Taylor Negron. Steve Moore did a special called Drop Dead Gorgeous, that being HIV in the 90s.
Wow.
And the two of them were my buddies, And what did that have to do with anything? Why am I saying that?
Nothing. Well, we were talking about Taylor. Yeah.
But they were my first two friends at the Comedy Store. In 79.
Wow.
Aren't we lucky? We got into this business
for a woman to have male friends when, whether or not I had a boyfriend, not that I ever saw them, the boyfriends, they were mainly after hours servicemen. They don't have names, No, they didn't deserve names. Well, there was the
that's
trumpet
very
player,
Sylvia Plath-like, by the way.
Yeah.
the trumpet player, the grip, the Nazi. I had
The
them all.
Nazi?
Got 'em all.
It wasn't him. He wasn't anti-Semitic. He had relatives that were.
Holy shit.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Why would you date somebody like that? What am I talking
It's the
about?
relatives. What are
What
you
am I
talking?
Never mind. I don't even know why I asked that question.
I never met the family or anything.
It doesn't matter. I could tell you a story. I'll tell you a story.
Okay.
When I was courting my first wife, she was an Irish American, and her mother was even more Irish American. And she took me to meet her mother. And my real last name is very, very Italian. And she introduced me to her mother, and her mother just looked at me and went, she didn't even talk to me. She talked to her daughter. She went, "Why didn't you just bring home a nit?" Just like that, came right out of her mouth.
Wow.
And I went, "Okay, I'm out of here." And needless to say, the marriage was doomed from,
Yeah. I guess. When Terry told me that his family had a princess in the family, but she wasn't Jewish. I thought there was another Jewish girl in the family. She was an Italian princess.
Oh, yes.
Ah.
yeah.
Yes. Exact same thing.
Different kinds of gold jewelry and
Yes.
clothes.
Yes.
That's
and,
all.
and the boys are usually the Italian prince, too.
Oh, yeah.
Shush. Oh, my God. She's deaf, and when she wants attention, the only way she knows is to badger me. But
Well, you're yelling at a deaf cat.
I know I'm an
It
idiot.
makes her feel better,
I guess
you know,
so.
if nothing else.
So we're gonna have to wrap up here because Jimmy doesn't want us to go over an hour, and we're close. Hey, you were in the Aristocrats movie?
Yes, it really did start my career again. And in 2002, we taped it, and then 2003, just when I was meeting Terry, that was his first knowing it was me. I remember babysitting a neighbor's child, a 3-year-old, so they could go as a couple to see the Aristocrats. I was a hands-on producer, but it was great. And I did my segment with Kathy Ladman and Susan Kolinsky.
Oh my God!
And we tried to go on. We tried to go on the road together, and I think Kathy had gotten a job in New York, so we took Diane Nichols instead. And I booked us at a club in on the peninsula in San Francisco. Rooster Teas, I guess, is the name of it.
Oh, I know that. I've heard of that club. Yep.
And I booked us as Donner Party of 3. Nobody came to see us. I should have mentioned my name.
Yeah. Do you know that story, Kat? Do you know the story of the Donner Party?
It's from a movie or something.
Cannibalism
right?
in
Cannibalism.
the 1800s.
Okay.
Yeah, they were go through the Oregon Trail, wasn't it? And they were
No, Oregon Trail, they probably would have gotten through. They were going around over Tahoe.
That's right, over Tahoe,
which is the highest peak, and so it was not a good thing.
And blizzard conditions, so they
it was
wound up
the first joke I ever wrote. I remember when I was a kid, and I said to my dad, "What did the Donner Party have for dinner? Leg of Sam." And my father laughed, and he did that horrible thing.
When I went to Reno, I was on my way to San Francisco, but I met a friend out there. I was doing a gig in Reno, and she took me to the Donner Party Museum up in I forget the name of it. Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, it was great.
A friend at a garage sale found a Donner Party party platter.
And did they buy it?
Yes.
Shit, that's the funniest thing I ever heard. Oh God, was there a picture of it?
But that was how they would, remember horrible events like that.
Was it real? It was from the
with a picture. It wasn't from that time, but with a wagon on it.
Platter.
Oh my God! Because they put a couple of them in prison when they finally got to where they were going. And they found out about the cannibalism.
Well, it happens. Like being in prison isn't going to stop you.
Well, it happens. Well, it happens that we're running out of time, and I don't want to because I love you and I love talking to you.
Thank you for including me. I hope all your fans watch this. And
I don't care about them.
We had fun talking to you. Screw them. We don't care.
You could start and have a good career from that. Just screwing your fans. But
not anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
But
well.
I am so happy to see you looking so well and so.
Well, as soon as I get my arm going, and I was talking to Amazon, my insurance company, CVS for 3 hours today. But during one of the phone calls, I did. I have a machine, not a machine. It's a stand, and I put my arm on it and exercise. So I was exercising while I was being punished on the phone with these people.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
like
a
double
multitasker.
Punishment. That's like
you got spunk.
I hate spunk.
Yeah. All right, but thank you so much for including me. I'm glad that you got your Wi-Fi back. All is good.
You.
Kathy with a C.
Carrie,
good luck in radio.
Thank you.
Good luck for the Phillies. I'm kind of rooting for Cleveland at this point.
Okay, well, they're in the other division, so I'm cool with that.
All right.
Yeah.
We love you. Thank you.
Same to you, but more of
Bye,
it.
Carrie.
All right. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.